Oh my gosh, the idea of other citizens being armed is so frightening. But historically, you should be concerned and frightened of a government that's armed to the teeth and engaged in domestic military operations, which is now happening. The Department of Homeland Security is a fifth branch of the military, beholden only to the president, not to Congress. And Congress is told, you will not see our DHS plans for civil unrest. You will not see the DHS plans on the billions of bullets. You will not see the Pentagon plans for military operations around the world. You are on the Armed Services Committee. You are on the Intelligence Committee. You hold the power of the purse. You declare the war. The president then executes. We're telling you that's all done. The office of the president is becoming a dictator because the office of the president is a corporate front position. One guy they've got to buy instead of 500 plus in Congress. One guy who can sit there and checkmate Congress and checkmate the states and checkmate the courts and checkmate it all. And that's what's happening. Foreign globalist interest, exempt from taxation worldwide. Warren Buffett. Oh, raise taxes on rich people. I've got too much money, using class envy when he's exempt from the taxes offshore. Oh, I love you. I want you to do well. I'm Warren Buffett. That's why I lobbied and spent tens of millions of dollars per year in the last decade to block the construction of the Keystone Pipeline. And even though you got it built, you're not going to get that oil in America. It's going to go for me and George Soros to China, where we're invested. So they're going down like imagine America as a breaker box. They're turning the breakers off. And it's very painful to see people, family, veterans, people I've known my whole life don't have money to drive to work now, to see restaurants closing, businesses closing, roads rotting. But more cops. You can't swing a dead cat and not county, city, state, federal, armored vehicles, helicopters, checkpoints. Oh, yes, the signs of tyranny. As they just flip the switch, just grabbing the switch, just turning the lights out in America. It's like going down the life support, flipping off the switches, click, 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 click. And then I hear, Koch brothers, demons, Koch brothers, the devil, Koch brothers, there's no one worse. Why, they flayed children alive. Alex Jones works for them. And I go, let me go check these guys out. I mean, sure, I know more than most people, being politically aware, but let me go make sure I'm, know about these guys. So I spent the last few weeks, and I've got Aaron looking into them right now. We're going to do a whole report on the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Koch brothers. But then I come to the industrial fact that they are all that's left of the engine of America. And don't worry, so-called left authoritarians, that engine's going to get blown. I can see where everything's going. You're going to shut everything down. Okay? Don't worry. You'll defeat the Koch brothers. You'll destroy them. Don't worry. You didn't get that pipeline. China gets it. Okay? Don't worry. Don't worry. And go get your college education, which there's going to be no jobs for unless it's in Homeland Security. And by the way, the government wouldn't hurt us. Roll your sleeve up and take all the vaccines. Sure, there's thousands of admitted lethal secret tests that have been declassified on foster kids and U.S. military personnel and black people. Even a few years ago, testing pesticides on black kids, foster kids, taken by CPS in New York until they die. I mean, we need to turn our guns into a government like that. Okay, so, man, let me tell you, I'm not worried about Foxconn and Apple with suicide nets and forced abortions. Okay? I mean, let me tell you, that's a good thing. That's liberal. But let me tell you, what is bad? The Koch brothers, ladies and gentlemen, lobby and give money to pro-Second Amendment causes. Oh, yesterday I spent a couple hours listening to the secret recordings leaked from a 2011 meeting. The Brad blog, I ought to get him on. I've had the guy on, actually, before on Election Friday. He's a pretty good guy, but I ought to have him on and go, yeah, Brad, this is terrible. Let's play some of these clips. We got to protect the family. I mean, I'm glad I investigated because I supposedly work for him. Oh, my gosh, speaker after speaker, we got to defend private property and the new wealth that is the engine and not let the crony capitalists take over. I mean, look at that evil Fed chief in Dallas, Federal Reserve head of the Dallas Federal Reserve. That's the, let's show him Reuters. Says crony capitalists have taken over and are going to shut down their competition. Oh, arrest him. He's bad, too. See, when the Koch brothers do a few good things, I'm not saying they're perfect because I'm doing deep research on them, and I'm finding some stuff, obviously. And when the Dallas Fed, I mean, I had Dr. Paul Kirk Roberts on Friday. I said, are they doing that because they know things are about to implode and they don't want to be blamed? And Roberts is like, no, they realize America's finished. And there's Feds Fisher, too big to fail banks or crony capitalist, Reuters. I guess he's bad. You know what? And they're actually attacking him. He's the bad guy because he's telling the truth. See, I'm starting to figure this out. When sane people, even in the power structure, go, you know what? There's these offshore mega banks that are so powerful. How about the Koch brothers collectively with like 40-something billion bucks? And I mean, literally thousands of factories in the U.S. You know, the globalist that came out, AP did a lawsuit back in 2000, got documents where the big 10 oil companies met. And you can look these up. I've done reports on them, but just look them up. And met in 95 and 96 to create an artificial scarcity in oil. And they tried to buy up all of the privately owned refineries or have regulators shut them down to create an artificial bottleneck to rape you. That's big oil. Queen Beatrix, Queen of England, who owned Dutch Royal Shell, British Petroleum. They even tell you they own them. Dutch Royal Shell, BP, British Petroleum. And then you find out, oh, they hired the regulators to go try to shut down all the Koch brother refineries in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas that supply the whole Midwest and East Coast. Oh, and then I just spent hours looking at it. This economic warfare where trillionaires are trying to blow the engine of the U.S., and the Koch brothers would not shut down their refineries the last 15 years. But don't worry, they're losing now. They'll be shut down soon. And you're like, good, I'll have an electric car. No, 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 they're shutting the coal plants down too that create the electricity. 52% of our power. They're shutting everything down right now. I mean, you people that support this are self-destructive idiots. I mean, I am just, see, I said I was getting into all this other news. It's just so frustrating to watch us being powered down and to know how horrible it is and to know we've gone from 20 million on food stamps to 50 million and to know that this is all happening and to just want to stop it. What's that Three Doors Down song, Dynamite? We got to play that coming in the next segment because that's how I feel. Kryptonite, yeah, that's it. I always get the names of things wrong. Obviously, Kryptonite. See if you can find that, play it coming in. Because, you know, I mean, the general public's sleepwalking. And I'm sitting here watching them being abused and mega bank trillionaires shutting everything down with mass suicide factories and suicide nets and, you know, 5 million robots ordered, 1 million already delivered to replace humans, running around saying how they're going to kill us. And they're the liberals. They're the humanitarians because the television said so. And then there's some private family that had hundreds of patents their father developed, so they independently, kind of in that last window, made their own money. Steel plants, aluminum plants, fertilizer plants, paper plants, plastic plants, distillates, just thousands of factories. I started realizing just every factory I drive around, half of them are Koch brothers. Or Koch Carbon, their other brother. And I just see all this happening. And you know what? I agree with you. I agree with Mother Jones and Media Matters run by the White House and all of them. Arrest them, shut them down. Shut every coal power plant down. I'm going to give you what you want here. Shut every coal plant down. Shut down all the oil pipelines. Shut everything down. Oh, but see, it won't be done quickly where you notice it's ruining you. It'll be done real slow, creeping financial death. So you'll be cheering it the whole way while it happens. There won't be a quick death to the American economy. While the globalists move everything to China, and it doesn't even empower the Chinese, they're being used to have the race to the bottom, to leverage everything down to absolute zero. Because when they fall as total slaves, the rest of the world will be sucked down by it. Sucked down in that competition, that false, fraudulent, it's like a football game where you're playing against the other team on a 90-degree angle. And they get to kick off from a mountain on top of you, and each time, even if you try to run a touchdown, you never get to go from the top. You're always going uphill. And ignorance absolutely reigns. What did Pulitzer Prize winner Chris Hedges say about it? We now live in a nation where doctors destroy health, Lawyers destroy justice. Universities destroy knowledge. Governments destroy freedom. The press destroys information. Religion destroys morals. And our banks destroy the economy. Chris Hedges. And the United Nations, in the New York Times, they admit, in Africa and Latin America and Asia, in Burma, was the first time I saw a report of this about 15 years ago. It was even in the National Geographic magazine. That they were saying it was good. So I went and looked it up on kind of the proto-web that it is today. Like it was about 99, actually, so 14 years ago. And it talked about how the UN exterminated thousands of the population to make it a UN biosphere. They go in and actually shoot the people. You know, like you go in and kill a group of invasive elephants that go into farming belts in Africa. They do that. And it described the culling of the wild humans. And then these environmentalists sit back and go, well, it's got to be done. You know, I have 15 jets. You know, I love the Queen of England. Prince Charles came out and said, you shouldn't take a hot shower because of the carbon footprint. They have over 100 giant palaces. Some of them have thousands of rooms. Some of the palaces are over 100 square miles. Not the palace itself, but the grounds of them. They have, each member has their own private train, private jet copters. Last time I checked, Prince Charles had more than 20 aircraft and flies them himself. And they get several billion pounds a year just to pay for their gas allowance to heat the palaces. I'm going to say that again. To heat the Rothschilds have palaces everywhere, same deal, and they're all saying you are using too much, you can't have plastic bags, blah, 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 while they conspicuously, you want to talk about class envy, you've got 1/10 of 1%, we did the math, what was it, 1 out of some impossible number? What is 600 top gophers, 6,000 minion gophers, in the superclass book by Rothkopf, and less than 20 families. Less than 20 families have more than 80% of the world's wealth. By the way, when the U.S. had the biggest middle class in the world, they only had about half of it just a few decades ago. There, it's the ultra-rich are the ones, man. They're like, I don't own those power plants, shut them down. I don't own those ships, shut them down. I don't own those factories, shut them down. Move them to China. Where you got to go to the Chinese Politburo and the generals, who are all billionaires now, live in literal palaces, and the people are used like slaves while they build the robots to replace us. Robots that work on robots. I mean, do you understand how frustrated I am? And then the boogeyman of the incredible authoritarian, I tell you what, if we're going to arrest rich people just because they're rich, let's start with the Queen of England, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Ted Turner, Bill Gates, all of them. And then after you've arrested all of them, we can arrest the Koch brothers. If you've got like this Soviet dream of, you know, you're in a Che Guevara outfit and storming the Bastille, you know, you're a Jacobin. So you don't know what that is. You should actually find out before you fantasize. But a T-shirt's simple for you, isn't it? They're shutting it all down. And by the way, they're not shutting it down to bankrupt it and take it over and turn it back on. They're not going to turn it back on. Do you understand that? They're not going to turn any of it back on. And you're going to laugh now, a lot of you, but you won't be laughing soon. You won't be laughing soon. And all the arrogant police. I can't believe Art Aceveda, our Austin police chief, the only Texas police chief they could get, to go to D.C. and call for a shutdown of private sales of guns. That means you can't transfer guns when you die. You can't give family a gun. Felonies, and they will start arresting everybody. Where'd you get that gun? Prove your history. And felonies for over 7-round mags, he wants those banned. And felonies, they already ran a fake sting with the ATF to try to shut down Austin gun shows. And, you know, I said he's an authoritarian. He said, how dare you, I want to go on your show for saying I'm a commie or an authoritarian, because he came from Cuba. And you know what? Why don't you go back to Cuba? In fact, the headline ought to be, Art Aceveda moving back to Cuba. And he'll probably get real mad about that. But the point is that I guess you're trying to turn America into Cuba so you can go work for the Justice Department. When Art, you know, the crime rates dropped 49% nationwide in violent crime because of armament of the citizens. The criminals are scared to death since 1991. The gun ownership graph goes straight up, and the crime rate going down goes straight down. It's an X on the graph. Guns go up, crimes go down. And you know that, but you want to toady up there. I've got his testimony. APD chief pushes for tighter gun control. Here it is. Unbelievable that this is what our country...
Austin Police Chief Art Acevedo is taking part in the ongoing national debate over gun control. He made the trek to Washington yesterday. He tweeted out this photo yesterday afternoon. Acevedo testified at a House hearing in favor of universal background checks for gun purchases.
The universal background check is a first and essential step toward comprehensive reform of our firearms and
First
gun
step
laws.
to confiscation.
Without this essential element, there can be no lasting impact on gun violence.
Right now, all licensed dealers have to submit potential buyers to a background check, but that law does not apply to private sellers and person-to-person transactions at gun shows.
Yeah, really what it is
Austin Police Chief Art...
Really what it is a registration program. That's what it is. It is a registration program against the American people. Period. And you heard him. It's an important first step. He's showing, hey, I know the plan, guys. Promote me up to federal level. He's all speaking code. And Art Acevedo has put his arm around me. He's sworn he's a patriot. He's promised, there'll never be troops in Austin on the streets. There's now troops all the time running checkpoints and all sorts of crowd control in Austin. There's now TSA checkpoints downtown. And there you go, buddy. You are un-American, just like all the other enemies of this country. Period. And the entire Austin police force, you either speak out against this, but you won't, because your higher-ups are all politicians too. And don't worry, they're going to shut your power plants down, shut your future down. And cops, hope you look at your kids, because they have no future. You know, I ran into the cop that was threatening to arrest me at the Austin airport. I was in an Italian restaurant by the movie theater, and I see the guy walk in, and he sees me, and he turns and walks over to the bar with his wife where they were going to eat. And I came over, and first he's like, we're fine, we're fine. Kind of leave me alone. And then later he looks over and goes, hey, how you doing? After I think he got the first shock of seeing me. But the whole point is, he was going to see Olympus falling, which again is total fantasy about how terrorists are under every table. Hey, cops, the real terrorists are the globalists. They're destroying America. And here's the deal. Real tyrants are taking over. And I got to be honest with you. I know I've had the Austin police chief on 4 or 5 times over the years. He's a charming guy. I wanted to believe he wasn't, a wicked gun grabber, but they're putting out this hoax that guns are discredited and guns cause crime. And anybody that tries to disarm the American people is part of the occupying collaborator system. And so I want everybody to get this video, this live broadcast, but there's video of it that'll be posted at prisonplanet.tv and on YouTube, and send it to Art Acevedo. Art, if you think the citizens not having guns, this goes for the rest of the police chiefs that work for the foreign banks one way or another. If you think that guns are so evil in citizens' hands, you should move back to Cuba. You should move to North Korea. You should move to communist China, where they got mobile execution vans. How dare you come to America and flee tyranny and try to put it on me and my family? And I take it real personal because I know you. I take it real personal. I get sick when I see all these police chiefs up there. I'm going to roll some video for radio listeners. We'll post it up at InfoWars.com. But here's FBI.gov and the crime statistics from 1991 to 2011. The latest numbers. A 49% drop in violent crime nationwide on average. And you can look at the graph of gun ownership. It goes up. The crime goes down. You know that. You know within 1 year of Texas having concealed carry, violent home invasions, carjackings, and other aggravated assaults went down by more than 30%. You know more than 25% in Florida, and you know the same similar number in every stinking state in this country. And I am sick of you and your hoax. You want our guns because the globalists are getting ready to implode this country, and you want us to be like people in Mexico who had their guns taken 100 years ago and who have been slaves ever since. Mexico has a total ban on citizen guns, and they have the highest gun crime rate in the world. There's your message, Art Acevedo. Go ahead and go get your Justice Department job. Maybe you'll really show off for them. Maybe you'll go to the Justice Department and be like Eric Holder, who was involved in Oklahoma City. Maybe you'll go there and teach us how to ship guns into Mexico to kill thousands of innocent people so you can blame it. Maybe you'll show the Justice Department what a good collaborator you are. Why don't you go back to Cuba and go apologize to Fidel Castro, who's killed hundreds of thousands of his own people after taking their guns? Why don't you go, Comrade Fidel, I love you. I love what you do. I want to take the guns from America. Why don't you come to America, Fidel, and help us run everything there? We will take the guns, Fidel. I will prove to you, comrade, what we will do to them. Hey! Oh, I'm supposed to just go, oh, my police chief says felony if I have over a 7-round mag. He says shut down the gun show. Oh, I can't give my dad a gun. He can't give me a gun. My dad tried to give me a BB gun last night. We were over at the house shooting at his house. Kids were having fun. One of those Crossman, revolver, gas-powered ones, CO2. Ooh, evil CO2. He tried to give it to me, and I said no. Some cities have laws where BB guns are banned. Felonies for that. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of the criminal government. The government's parasitic, out of control. I got an idea. How about the government turns their guns in? 2 billion plus rounds of ammo. Thousands and thousands of giant armored vehicles. All the militarization. And saying now, Homeland Security's for gun owners, returning veterans, libertarians, the rest of us. Because we stand in the way of the destruction of this country. And anybody that does is demonized. You're going to see people join Sauron. You're going to see people join Mordor. You're going to see people join the New World Order. I am not one of these people. And DHS to buy 360 million more rounds of hollow point ammunition, and then they say it's for target practice when you don't use hollow points in target practicing. Period. End of story. They cost up to 4 times as more as Full Metal Jacket. And now they're buying over 100 different types of weird ammo that no feds use and the military doesn't use. I mean, everything from 3A to, 7mm mag to 38 special. I mean, they're just buying it all. They've got it bought out years. They can't even manufacture it fast enough. I want to know why manufacturers aren't creating a coalition to sell to citizens and to say, we're not selling to the feds. There's already some coalitions saying, it's very large, saying we're not going to sell guns to departments that are anti-gun. Man, it's a big deal that we've dropped the crime rate 49% since 1991. That's the latest numbers, since 91 to 2011. 20-year official FBI, local numbers, very accurate, the world standard in statistics. You can say a lot about J. Edgar Hoover, but he did get statistics down. He was obsessed with it. He pretty much launched the modern science of statistics that actually codified off local numbers. And it's a 49 whopper. 49 whopper. I mean, criminals are scared. And then they say, well, you don't need semi-auto to protect yourself from criminals. I saw a video online that we're going to play on the Nightly News tonight. I'm going to add some updates to it, where, the top 10, robbers shot. And it shows robbers running in, actually shooting people. They get shot. And you need semi-auto. The robbers have semi-auto. Hey, police, if we don't need semi-auto to protect ourselves, we just need a double-barrel shotgun. I got an idea for you. You don't need semi-auto either. I am now for gun control. Just like Jesse Ventura said, you turn your guns in now. You turn your guns in now. You turn your guns in. Government, you turn in all the semi-autos, and you turn in the bullets, and you turn in the armored vehicles and the drones and the body armor. I mean, what do you need that for? Because you don't need those to protect yourself defensively. Of course, that's not true, actually. You need semi-auto. They fetishize full auto. You don't need that because it spray your whole clip and it doesn't hit what you're aiming at. You need semi-auto for target acquisition and the whole 9 yards. You got an enemy with semi-auto. The criminals will always have semi-auto. And I know you know this as gun owners. The general public doesn't know it. Okay, and they're going to ban our guns. They're coming. They're going to stage more Sandy Hooks. I mean, folks, let me tell you, they staged all these things. I've looked at them now. I mean, they are a bunch of murderers. When you see those gun confiscation people on TV, a lot of them licking their lips going, too bad Harry Reid's kids aren't, grandkids aren't dead and all this, and let's show the dead kids and all this. You're looking at some monsters. Let me tell you, a lot of them are in on the fact, okay? They know full well. This is about, they're not trying to get your guns because they really care about kids. These are monster authoritarian scum, okay? Anybody wants your guns, they want to dominate you and your family, and you know it.